was a 400% increase that you achieved last year, which is extraordinary. I wanted to meet you to congratulate you on that.
Thank you.
And to ask you, first of all, did you know, had you heard that 400% number before you heard it from me?
I knew it jumped. I just had no idea to what it,
it's such a cool number. That's like going a 5 times increase.
I'll take it.
Yeah. And I wanted to ask you, just tell me where you're from, how long you've been in the business, what got you into it. And then I'll ask you my big questions, which is how'd you do it? How'd you go 5 times on your business? And then how did it change your life, right? What's exciting that's happening for you now? But start with a little background for me.
Okay. Well, let me first say, how did I do it? I did it because of Coldwell Banker. That is
Really?
why. I would work for no one else. I probably shouldn't say that, but that's how I feel.
That's
mean,
cool.
Coldwell Banker is the oldest and the largest for a reason. They know what they're doing. The company is amazing. And so really that's how I did it. And the support of my family and friends. I mean, that's it in a nutshell. Really simple.
I appreciate, we'll go backwards then, because
Okay.
you hit on that. So that's obviously, I love hearing that, right? Because it's what we're here for, is to have you have an exciting career and build a great business and enjoy it. But it's fun how sometimes being excited about where you are is part of what gives you the energy to do all the things because you did a whole bunch of things that actually built the business. I want this to be the kind of place that pulls you in and gets you fired up. And so you have the energy to go do all those things. And maybe you're getting some ideas and you're getting some technology and you're getting some, I guess your relationship with Kirby is pretty good. Your branch leader.
Oh, absolutely. So Kirby Parsons was my son, who's in his 30s now, my older son's T-ball coach when my son Will was 5 years old. And Kirby, my Mary B, was the dugout mom. And I saw them at a Christmas party about 5 years ago. And Kirby said, when are you going to come work for me, Cathy? When are you going to get into real estate? And I said, that's something I've really always wanted to do. I've had some great careers and could not walk away. And now at being 60 years old, when he approached me, I'm like, this is a great time to get my real estate license. And I asked him what it took. He guided me on the courses, how long it would take, just every step of the way. I was so supportive and was there anytime I had a question once I got my license about contracts or just everything in general and specifics that I needed. So I have to give Kirby Parsons the credit because
that's beautiful. It's going to make his day when he sees this. It's going to make his day.
Yeah.
He, as much as anybody, lives for that, right? The idea that he made a contribution to what you did. Was there anything like in the array of things that a real estate agent can do to build their business? You did it fairly quickly, right? It's only been a few years since you got your license, right?
Yes. Well, it starts with having someone like Kirby Parsons who's so supportive, so positive, so available to help me every step of the way. And so again, Kirby Parsons, Coldwell Banker, those are the key to success, in my humble opinion. And my family who has supported me tremendously. You asked me about my background. My background is in journalism. I say before fake news. And I started as a reporter. And so I've lived in Austin for more than 40 years. I've covered this city as a radio reporter, as a television reporter and anchor. I covered Austin City Hall. I covered the state legislature. My dad was a lawmaker. So that was near and dear to my heart. I actually had worked for a press secretary for a state senator who went on to become a member of Congress. So I'm very familiar with the Austin market. As a journalist, the city nearly destroyed itself back in the 80s. There was a huge fight between the environmentalists and the developers, and I was right in the middle as a journalist. Yeah. And both sides were just so far apart. And they eventually, after many long Austin City Council members, many interviews with everyone from the guy who would call me, Cathy, I'm going up in the tree before the bulldozers come, and I'm leaving because I don't want this development to happen, to interviewing the developer about why progress was needed and places for people to live was needed. They came and found common ground after years of much turmoil. And so Austin is a beautiful city actually because of that fight. So I had that perspective that I can bring clients and talk about why development has happened in different areas of the city, the different counties, why high tech goes one direction as opposed to the other. But I love Austin. It's just such a fabulous, vibrant city. It is a young person's town. I mean, the median age here is 36 years old.
Right.
So being in real estate, you really need to understand your market really well.
How do you get the word out about, like, I think your perspective on being there during formative years of Austin, and Austin is going through a formative phase now as well. It's kind of it's been going that way for quite a while now, but it's changed, being the magnet for population and jobs and technology and things like that. And so it is changing. I've always thought that the best application of social media in real estate was for people in the business to just become the self-appointed spokesman for the community. Not speaking for the community, but really highlighting the quality of life issues. But even in the case of what you did, of actually playing a role of understanding two different sides of a debate and saying they're right about that and they're also right about that. And I kind of feel like you guys could both get what you want if you just talk to each other. How do you get the word out about the way you think about the business? How are you attracting? What specific things do you do to put that out there and attract customers to you?
Well, I think social media is key. And so you can't be timid about putting your message out on social media, all the different platforms. And again, I've got to go back to Coldwell Banker. The company provides incredible data and applications that you can reach your clients easily and keep them.
Put your book together. You put a book of business together, your client, your sphere of influence, and you communicate.
Yes.
And you're right. We have teams of people that put out a fountain of content.
Yeah.
And a lot of encouragement to go make your own. Like, you're obviously comfortable on camera. And before I forget, you got to send me a clip back in the day when you were an anchor person. You must have that around someplace. Shoot me one. I have to see it.
That is just an adorable picture.
And how do you like my photo album?
You like
the baggie?
The baggie and everything. That's great.
Thanks, Matt.
Okay.
Well, if you think that was a lot of birthdays, one Indiana fan.
But I really like the idea that you're letting yourself get swept up into the Coldwell Banker thing, right? You're not holding out. You're not thinking about being so totally independent. A lot of agents, I think, get caught in that idea that I'm independent. I want to stay independent instead of going all in. Wherever you are, it's a free country. You can change companies, but go all in wherever you are so that you get the best of everything. I'm happy to hear that it sounds like you are.
Well, somebody asked me one time, how do you win a contract when there are multiple offers, for example, on house A, and there are 11 offers? How do you stand out? And I said, well, in my position it's pretty easy because I have Coldwell Banker behind my name. So the listing agent, the seller, may not know me or may not know my buyer, as great as my buyer is, how strong as my buyer is. They recognize that Coldwell Banker logo, and they know we're not bringing a client to the table except for they've been vetted because they've been pre-approved by one of our lenders, typically guaranteed rate affinity. And we have educated our buyers on what to expect in the process. So they're likely not going to pull out during the option period because it's a serious transaction. It's the most important investment. So again, I think the power of the Coldwell Banker brand associated with my buyer's name and my name is significant.
Glad to hear that. Happy to hear that, and it's probably worth mentioning that we didn't prepare for this conversation today. And the questions I've been asking you are, what are you doing that's helping you build the business? And you've brought it back to Coldwell Banker a few times. So you've been really gracious about crediting the company. But I want people to know that the question of how did you do it goes all kinds of places for folks. And of all the people that I've interviewed on this topic, you've given the most credit to the company. Which is really nice, and it's much appreciated. A lot of people in the organization are going to watch this and be heartwarmed about it. But we also know that you put a ton of energy in, a lot of effort in, and you did a lot of blocking and tackling to attract customers to you. And we're glad that we get an assist on it, but we acknowledge that it's your effort that made it happen.
As far as, my family and my friends, they played such an important role. My older son, both my sons, my husband, have been so fabulous in supporting me in my new career at this point in my life. It's my passion. I almost wish I'd started a few years earlier, quite frankly. But my older son, he got his third degree, I believe it was, his MBA at UT, and so many of his friends from the class were looking for their first home. And he was like, hey, my mom's, real estate agent, call her. And so I had some great early successes because of Will Swofford. I'll give him credit. And his clients were absolutely delightful, brilliant, knew exactly what.
Snowballed out of the gate with your closest sphere, your family.
Yeah.
And then putting your name in the hands of people and let you do your thing. Right. Because I mean, everybody can see your personality comes through in this conversation that people will generally like to be around you. And so the experience is positive for them because of who you are. But I like that a lot. The idea that doesn't take an army to get you started, right? You needed a spark. And once you had the spark, you were able to run with that. And I'm guessing that some of your son's friends that bought a house put the word out, said, oh, yeah, you got to go to her. I mean, this is great. And then it snowballs from there. And then you see this 400% increase in business. How has it changed your life? And I asked that in the context of, people get freedom and they're able to do things that they weren't otherwise able to do. What's changed as a result of your success?
Well, I'll say, so both my sons have actually helped me, Will and Wade, in their referrals. And, my husband and friends as well. What has changed? I have more control over my schedule. When you go to work in a typical job, when I did news, I did early morning news. So I got up at 2:30 in the morning. I'm not 90. I just look 90 from those early morning hours. But, your schedule's pretty, it's certain. Most people have 9 to 5 jobs, right? Or whatever.
Right.
And in real estate, you have more flexibility to a certain extent. You can work as little or as much as you really want. And the more you work, obviously, the more successful you're going to be financially and every other way. I work most weekends and I work most evenings because time is of the essence in real estate. So if you say, if a buyer comes to me, like this morning, driving into the office, someone wanted to see a home tomorrow, I'm like, we're on it. Or if they wanted to see it this afternoon, we're on it, because in this market moving so quickly, if you say, oh, I had a party I was going to go to, and then tomorrow I had this, you're ignoring your duty to your client, and that's a loss for everybody. So you have to be ready and available. So that's the side that people, when they see the glamorous side of real estate, they also need to be aware of. Those weekends are going to keep really busy.
Right.
And when people are available and they want to see homes, it's not, Tuesday morning at 10 o'clock. It's Friday evening at 5:30 or 6, or Saturday at 4, or, whenever. But I'm at that point in my life where I'm available, and I'm like, yes, let's go. Let's do this. You need
You're
this.
having fun with it too, right? So it's like one of the things that my kids teased me once, because they said, we go off to college, and my second one is going off this year. They were beating around the bush a little bit, trying to approach a conversation with me. Like, are you going to be okay? I'm like, what do you mean? Like, you don't have that many friends, Dad. We're not saying you're a loser, but you don't have that many friends. You don't spend that much time with your friends. I said, you don't understand. When I'm up here, when I'm talking to you, when I'm talking to the people that I work with every day, I'm friends with y'all. Like this is the first time that we're really talking, except for one little time before. And so this is where I get so much of that interaction that makes me just happy and excited and pretty pumped up. And so I'm cool spending time with the family and the dog, and I have friends. So like, I'm not a loser. I told my kids that, stop saying that.
No doubt.
But it's cool. Like, obviously your family's proud of you, that you've now done something else, and that also is going swimmingly, right? So you've got a great track record. Did you buy any toys? Are you driving anything different? Did you go on any vacation, anything like that?
Not really, because I just get so much satisfaction out of my work. That to me is just like, oh man, it's just that. I just love it. I'm closing next week on a new house for a couple, and we looked for about a month. And I tell everybody, this is a journey. You may find the house the first weekend we go out looking or not, but don't stress out. This is the biggest investment of your life. The stress goes to me, which is why I'm having a little fever blister. Excuse me, but but just knowing this is going to be their first house, and this house checked off all their boxes, and they can hardly wait. He's going to be working at the children's hospital that is just down the road from their new house. And everything has just worked out beautifully. And I tell them, I think I may mention this, that I'm not a salesperson, I'm a matchmaker. And I
Nice.
want to really, really well in your home every night, especially that first night, instead of going, what did Cathy just walk us into? It's like, oh my goodness, the best place in the world. That's why.
How it changed your life is that you're doing something new that you love. You're getting a lot of satisfaction out of it. The money's great, and wherever that's going, it's going. But that's not the thing that came to mind when I asked you how it changed your life. It's just that you're pulled into something now. And you said something just a moment ago that I love, and we can finish up, is that you do absorb, like, you're absorbing their stress. Like, that you have inserted yourself into a consequential moment in their life, and you're hooked on it, right? And the people that are the best at this, they know they're going in, and these people are normal last year, but they're not normal this year because they're moving. They could be moving across the country. Their kids are torturing them. There's all kinds of things that are swirling around this that add stress on them. And when they know they've got somebody who, when they're around you, somehow it just begins to dissipate because you confidently say, like, you may not get the first house. I'll explain how this is going to go. You may need a little bit of time, but we're going to navigate it. We're going to get you one that you're calming. But it goes somewhere. That stress goes on your shoulders some of the times, right?
Yes, yes.
And so it's great that your family supports, because you go home and Kirby is where you go and offload some of that, because I know that he's there to say, put it on me. And then you come home and whatever's left, you put on them and try to have as little that you absorb yourself. But you dissipate the customer's stress. And I can tell that you're hooked on that feeling. So that's great.
And I never forget the people who, like Mrs. White. She was my first client. I didn't even know her, but I sent out postcards to her neighborhood, and she had a negative experience with another real estate agent who wanted her to list her home $200,000 less than she knew it was worth. And I come in, brand new real estate agent, and my philosophy is customer is always right. I'm going to find that data to support what you know, and I've had so much respect for this lady. I put it on the market, sold it before it hit the market when I had my coming soon sign on day one, and was able to give her signed contract for the price she wanted on her 90th birthday.
Oh, really? Wow, that's great.
And she's still alive today, and I visit with her often. And, so from Mrs. White to this new young couple who will probably be having starting their family in this home where we close next Wednesday, and Northwest Austin. I mean, I just have made so many wonderful lifelong friends that, again, thanks to Coldwell Banker, I am having a ball in this fabulous time. So
well, we're very happy, and it's a tough market, and you're doing great. So Cathy Conley Swofford, tell everybody how they find you online if they wanted to connect.
CathyConleySwofford.com.
Beautiful. Pleasure meeting you. Great talking with you.
Thanks, Greg, so much.
Thank you. Have a good one.
You too. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.